All right, everybody, it's the Central Powers turn, and well, let's just go along the west eastern front here. All right, so right here, the Germans did an attack, and it failed epically. They had a defender demoralized, so they lost a unit right there. They attacked here and had or this was a attacker demoralized. This was a defender demoralized, and the Russians lost one unit. So they are still holding that city right there. Along the other front right here, there was a big stack of infantry right there. And the end result was that these three corps right here plowed into them and got a defender eliminated, knocked him out. And there was a small unit right there. These guys attacked forward and took them out. So they had some successes with some minor losses. Now the bloodfest that was happened over here. There was a unit right here that these guys were cut off. The Russians moved in to attack from behind, did their little attack, and then the end result was they lost a bunch of guys, and then they counterattacked, and the end result was they took out the one unit that was right there. This unit was right here, got demoralized, and they fell back didn't want to lose another unit, so they can recoup sometime in the future. And then there was a big spoiling attack right here to try to take these guys out, and it was an exchange, so not so great. So they lost a bunch of guys, but they took the guys out. So they won, but it was kind of a Pyrrhic victory, not so great. And then here they're just holding the line right here and trying to stay near the railroads. And it's like over here, I did mention that where is he at? He's right there. Somehow he got moved. But I am building railroad right here. It's like my offensive is going to slow down here pretty quick because I can only be 4 away from any type of edge of my territory or a railroad that's mine. So I got to build a rail network along here to get my supplies going. And the same way down here. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4. So these guys are building their network down here. This offensive basically stalled out. They can't go any farther until I build the railroad. And I got my rail units right here. So next turn my rail will be extended. And these guys right here were sitting there and they got hit. There was an exchange, both demoralized. They lost one unit and then they just fell back to right here. They still are in supply because they can draw a line of supply along here. But if I just go from here to here or here to here with one of these units, they are cut off and they'll be isolated. So they'll be around for another turn and then they'll just die on the vine. And these guys are just parked back on their home city back there. And over here, the Germans have decided that being a good gopher is the way to go. So they're just digging in. And so after the next turn, I do have that unit right there. That's over by Frankfurt is a fort engineering unit. So I can start building a fort network along that whole border line. So it'd be like the Maginot line or Siegfried line that'll be building there to keep them out. Unless they want to go around and invade Belgium, which, well, they can do that. They'll keep England out of the game for that matter. So that is it for what we got going on here. And Italy is like looking at like, why are you guys up on my border for? You don't need to be there. They're getting a little nervous. And the Turks over here going, well, looks like maybe the war is getting successful. We're not sure if we should dive in here. they've seen Serbia getting waffle stomped along with Bulgaria, so they're like, maybe we should join the Central Powers. So we'll find out what happens in November. All right, we'll be back at the bottom of the turn with the Allied powers. All right, folks, here we are at the bottom of the second turn, which is October 1914. The Allies have done their attacks, and once again, the French did their best to do some spoiling attacks, and the end result was, well, we had a both demoralized event happen right here, and that little X, and then we had the old attacker attrition happen, and, well, they lost a unit right there, so wasn't very good. Hoping for one of those good results, rolling a 6, and first time I rolled a 1, and I rolled a 2, which doesn't really equate to having some good effects for yourself. So the French, they have the troop, they got the replacement troops and stuff that they can delve into and grab, and so not really hurting them too much. They're holding their own. They're keeping the Germans out, and the Germans are keeping them out. So there's just a small number of troops losing themselves there. Now, over here on the Eastern Front, things have changed. Well, it was, the Russians were looking at it, and they had some troops here in Warsaw there, and they realized it's unattainable. So it's like they can stay there and hold them back, but those troops are gonna die. So they broke contact and pulled back and created a new second line. They're going to dig in right here and see what they can do to hold the Germans out. It's not to their advantage because what happened over here made the decision was that things didn't go so well like they expected. The Austrians did hold their own. They got hurt really bad because you can see there's a massive pile of Austrian dead over there. So the Austro-Hungarian Empire isn't having much fun at the moment. They are not really doing well against the Russians. It's kind of like they are having an attrition battle going on where both sides are losing troops right and left. And the dead are just piling up here in the Russian front. So Austrians, well, their low-quality troops are not paying off very well for them. They're just dying in droves. And up here, they formed up another line. So we basically have almost a continuous line here. There is some more reinforcements coming in for the Russians this turn. Coming in off of, they're going to be showing up back here. So they do have some reinforcements showing up next month, or actually into this month in the reinforcement line. So they can hopefully shore up their defenses a little bit better and rail those guys up to the front. So that will be to their advantage to happen there. Now, the other problem is the Serbs. Well, this little guy that's demoralized, he got hit and fell back. He advanced, got himself up into the foothills there. He's trying to reconnect up with, he keeps trying to get back into with the rest of the army. And these guys are just holding the city, knowing that the end is nigh. And the Austrian-Hungarians, well, they are slowly building their railroad network, which allows these guys to stay in supply. So now they are close enough to be able to move up and do an attack on the city. And it's possible next month that the war in Serbia could be over. If that happens, we'll see. Or else, if the Austrians been doing quite well lately, it's just dying in place. So we'll just see what happens there. So that's everything. That's the end of October 1914. And we'll be back and see what happens in November. November is going to be interesting. We get to find out if the Italians will join either the Central Powers or the Allied Powers. On a 6, they join the Central Powers. On a 1, they join the Allies. And then we get to roll over here and see if England is going, well, we'll just find out if we're going to join or not. On a 1 through 5, they are going to join the war. On a 6, they'll continue to stay neutral. And then we decide, is Bulgaria and Turkey going to join the mix? We'll find out. And we'll be back.